Hello world. So this is going to be homework number 5. As we've gone over some electrical engineering situations with dealing with basic components, today we're going to be drawing out a schematic based on our Raspberry Pi layout. So everybody has been assigned specific pins within our Raspberry Pi lab. For example, if we look here on the Raspberry Pi in front of us, we have a red LED, a yellow LED, and a green LED. And as you know, these LEDs have to have resistors. So what we do is we pull that resistor from our negative on that 5-volt line. And as we can see here, we have pin 13 going to red, 19 going to yellow, and 26 going to green. So our GPIO ports are all going to the positive side of our LED. So we need to indicate that on our schematic. All GPIO numbers go to the anode side of our LED, and then we have the negative side, or cathode side, going to our resistor, going to our negative side for our voltage. As you guys have learned, when we apply voltage output to that pin, then the LEDs will turn on. What we don't have is a specific schematic for the electrical circuit that we're working with right now, and that's what homework number 5 is. So let's come over to a piece of paper and take a look. So we have on our notebook here, as indicated on the actual layout on the breadboard, we have red going to pin 13, yellow 19, green 26. I've started GPIO. This is basically a representation of our T-board there. So we have the line coming from 13, a line coming from 19, and a line coming from 26. Now we can also represent here, let's just say this is our negative side. Okay, so as you know, there's a electrical component that I expect you guys to fill this section in when you draw out your schematic. And then you have, continuing on to this particular one, going to this one, and going to this one. So you have an electrical component here, that is a resistor. I expect you to fill that out. You have an electrical component here, that is your LED. Fill out the schematic symbol for that. Same thing for 19, same thing for 13. What we can do, just for the sake of understanding and make sure we have it filled out on our notebook, we can go ahead and just fill this out right here on this particular leg. So a lot of times what you'll see is a continuous solid piece for the negative side, and then it'll branch off for the individual components. So this is just a representation of the negative off that power supply. Then we go to 13, so let's just go ahead and label this right here. Now I'll put it over here. We'll do red. And then 19, we have yellow. And then 26, we have our green. So I want you to have in your notebooks this as your homework 5 is essentially just to fill out your very basic, very simple electrical schematic indicating what you're working with. Now your numbers are not necessarily going to be the same. Since everybody's been assigned specific pins on their assigned Raspberry Pis, you have to indicate the pins that you are using. So as we move on and continue to write our programs, we can have this in our notebook for what pins are ours to reference, as well as what components we have here and what our electrical diagram is actually set up as. Now this may seem relatively simplistic, and it is, but it's beneficial to have documentation of the circuits that you're working with. So as you move forward, you can build on it, or you can make a reference back to what you had in reference to what the program was. So this should be a pretty easy homework for everybody. Shouldn't take too long to fill out. I just want to make sure everybody has this in their notebook before we move on and start getting into the next step of our Python programming classes. Hopefully you learned something, and I'll see you in next class.